Welcome to part 3 of the Crack Yak build video. We will start by installing the motor mount. Apply welder's glue to the motor mount, let it tack up, and apply welder's glue to the front of the plane and let it tack up. After it's tacked up, press the motor mount firmly into place, and then wipe away any excess glue. We will now apply a very thin bead of welder's glue to the hinges on the airplane. This will increase the durability of the hinges. After you have applied the bead of welder's glue, you want to work it in with your finger, making sure it's very, very thin. We will now apply some welder's glue to the nose of the airplane to give it a little bit of extra strength. You can work the glue in using your fingers. You can now apply some blue Loctite to the prop saver screws on the motor. You're now ready to screw your motor into place. Make sure your motor wires are going to the same side your receiver is going to be mounted on. When you screw the motor in, you're going to be tapping the holes in the plastic, if you will. So you're going to apply some good pressure to get them started. But once you get them started, just screw them firmly into place. You can now get your ESC out and plug it into your motor. We will glue it into place as well as gluing our receiver into place. It does not matter which way you plug in your wires right now, you can always change them later. You can now use some hot glue to glue your receiver and ESC into place. Place your receiver on top of the angular brace. If you want to take the receiver out of the box, you can to save a little bit of weight, but I found it's not worth the trouble. After you have plugged in all of your servo leads, you can now tuck the excess wire back up under the angular brace. Be careful when you do this not to damage a wire. I'm using a Phillips head screwdriver, but you might want to use something like a pencil with an eraser on it or something like that. Be very careful not to damage the wires when you're doing this. You can tack the aileron wire and ESC wire into place using a little bit of hot glue. You should end up with something that looks pretty much like this. You can now bind up your receiver to your transmitter. Go ahead and double check and make sure everything works properly as it should. You can now apply a propeller to make sure your motor direction is correct. If it is not correct, just switch any of the two ESC wires, and that should fix it. You can now pour your baggie of parts into the bowl and punch out all the pieces from the wood. The slots for the control horns are pre-cut, but you will need to finish cutting them the rest of the way using an X-Acto knife. Be sure to test fit them before gluing them into place. For the ailerons, we will use the control horns that have a 1 printed on them. You will now do the same exact process to the elevator and rudder. You will use the control horns that have the 2 printed on them. Notice that the control horns are cut to be flush with the inside crease of the hinge. In the last step of the build video, we will install the side force generators. The bigger ones go on the inside and the smaller ones go on the outside.